The 2020 Subaru BRZ is here with a new design, a new engine, more power, and a lot to talk about. So let's get started. Right out of the gate, this is a good looking car. Whole new redesign, a whole new look. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw it, at least from the front end, the angle of the headlights, the way the grille is shaped, it looked to me like a mini C7 Corvette. Do you see it? Is it me? I kind of see it. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Anyway, it's a good looking design. I love the air scoops in front of each tire, just under the headlights. Overall, just a much more aggressive look to the car, but yet it's still a little cleaner at the same time. Now the back of the car, it starts to get very European looking. Not that that's a bad thing at all. It's very refined. I like the look. The tailpipes and the diffuser look very, very similar to the previous year. Nothing wrong with that. I like it. It's a very sporty look. The taillights definitely have a new look to them, as does that nice little duckbill spoiler in the back. Real nice touch. Overall, great looking car. I think Subaru knocked this one out of the park. Now, as far as the interior is concerned, it's not going to look a whole lot different than the outgoing model. You might have had a nice little refresh here and there, but overall, it really does look the same. You are going to get a few other things different though, one of which being a fully digital gauge cluster. And inside that gauge cluster, you'll find a brand new G-force meter. You're going to get an all new 8-inch touchscreen infotainment center with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity standard. Subaru EyeSight will also be available, but all in all, the interior will feel very familiar. Now let's talk about the new engine. This is where everyone's attention is going to. It is a new 2.4 liter flat 4 engine. This is essentially the same engine out of the Subaru Ascent, but without the turbo. That's right, this still does not have a turbo, and that was one of the big things that everybody was asking for. When are you going to put a turbo in the BRZ? Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get one here. Now, there's a lot of reasons why Subaru didn't do it, and we'll get into that in just a second. But let's talk about why it doesn't necessarily need that turbo. With the new 2.4 liter engine, you're going to get more power and more torque. Horsepower is now up to 228 and torque is up to 185 pound-feet. Now that may not seem huge going from 205 horsepower to 228, but the torque is where you need to look. 156 pound-feet of torque all the way up to 185 pound-feet of torque. But also you need to look at where the torque kicks in at. That old 2-liter engine, you didn't get peak torque until 6,500 RPMs. With the new 2.4 liter engine, you're going to get peak torque, 185 pound-feet at 3,700 RPMs. That is a huge difference than the old engine setup. Now this car is going to feel a lot faster, 0 to 60 because of it, and it's going to come out of those corners a lot faster as well. Keep in mind, this car, even with the new design, comes in at 2,815 pounds. That is not a heavy car. That is very light. So that kind of torque and that RPM range is going to feel like a major difference from the old 2-liter engine. And since we're on performance numbers, let's talk about that 0 to 60 because Subaru says it can hit that in 5.7 seconds. That is very respectable. Now, as far as cornering and handling are concerned, they have made the frame and suspension 50% more rigid than the outgoing model. They have stiffened the front end alone by 60%. As far as wheels and tires are concerned, if you get the premium package, you will get a 17-inch wheels wrapped in 215/45 tires. Now, if you decide to go up to the BRZ Limited Edition, you will get a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4 summer tires wrapped in 18-inch 10-spoke alloy wheels. The stability control system now has 5 separate settings, allowing the driver to dial it into his or her liking. And Subaru also has a performance package that will include a set of Brembo brakes and other performance upgrades, which will be available for the 2022 model. Now, as we said before, everybody really wanted to see a turbo put in the BRZ, but there are a lot of good reasons why Subaru didn't do so, and here's what they had to say. If they were to put a turbo in the BRZ, it would have been very costly. by throwing a turbo on it, it would have made it significantly more expensive. And they really didn't want to take the price tag up that high when you have the WRX, which would probably be very close in cost. Also, if they were to add a turbo, that means they would have had to raise the engine in order to fit the turbo with all the plumbing and stuff that was needed to make it work. Therefore, raising the center of gravity and affecting the handling. That is one thing they did not want to sacrifice. Now, I think there are pretty good reasons to not put a turbo on it, because especially with that new 2.4 liter engine, you're getting that torque a lot sooner and you're getting more of it, which is going to make this car feel a lot faster than the old one. Now, speaking of that 2.4 liter engine, there is one more thing I wanted to throw in there about it. Now, that 228 horsepower will come in at 7,000 RPM with a red line of 7,500 RPM. Now, as far as transmissions are concerned, you will get the 6-speed manual transmission, and you will also get the option of a 6-speed automatic. Now, if you go with the automatic, you will get a new sport mode, which will give you quicker response, rev matching, and a more aggressive gear selection. And you can't have a sports car without limited slip differential, so that's exactly what this car gets. That is standard equipment across the board. Now, I haven't been able to drive an outgoing BRZ as of yet, but I was able to ride shotgun in one around an autocross course. Now, I was incredibly impressed by how this little car handled. You could push this thing much farther than I even expected you could push a little rear-wheel drive car around these corners. It was so composed and so well balanced, it actually blew my mind. Which leaves me overly excited to get my hands on one of these new ones and see how much better it is. So I need all my Subaru fans to drop some likes on this video. Leave your comments down below on what you think of the new Subaru BRZ, the new styling, the new engine, the new power. I mean, overall, it's a huge improvement over what I think the outgoing model was, and I thought the outgoing model was a really good one. So I want to hear your thoughts on the new BRZ, everything that we've talked about, design, engine, the whole 9 yards. Leave your comments down below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next upload.